If I were to put a title on this homily, it would be called Seeds and Weeds. Because here's the deal. Last week I talked about gardeners, and you got to have a good attitude, and you got to, it's going to keep going when it's hard, and you're going to work on certain skills, and then you're going to do a lot of hard work. That's a gardener's part. But in the garden itself, and I don't care if you have a container with one cherry tomato plant in it, or if you've got a few flowers alongside the house, or you've got a real garden, raised beds or otherwise. It doesn't matter. You can put that seed, you can put that plant in the ground, you can take good care of it, and you nurture it, you baby it, you feed it, you water it, you tend it, you make sure it gets enough light, it stays out of the wind, you protect the seed so it can grow, so it can become more, so it can bear fruit. And no matter what we do, the weeds will come. They will come. I love that line, an enemy has done this. I have thought about that more than once when I would go out to the garden and go, an enemy has done this. How else did these weeds show up? Because they show up. And the funny thing is, I will go and you pull weeds, you do that in the morning, and I swear it, they somehow crawl back in and plant themselves, because the next day you see them there again. They just keep coming back. I think the cure for cancer will be found in pigweed, because it just keeps coming. It keeps showing up. The gardener's job is to protect and care and nurture the seed. The gardener's job is to pull out the weeds. One you want to grow, one you want to get out. One you want to cultivate, one you want to destroy. Welcome to the garden of our hearts. There are certain seeds that we need to grow in our lives. There's certain qualities that we need not only to take root in our hearts, but they have to become more. I'll give you some examples. We wouldn't say peppers and tomatoes and green beans. We would say love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness, goodness, gentleness, self-control, the fruits of the Spirit. That's what we want in our hearts. And here's the deal. It's not good enough to say, well, I haven't killed anybody. I'm an okay person. The real question is, Lord, am I more loving today than I was yesterday? Do I have more peace in my heart today than I had last week? Am I cultivating a crop in my heart that is fruitful, that is actually growing and developing in the light of your love, by the power of your grace, by the strength of your Spirit? Is my heart continuing to bear a harvest of that which comes from your Spirit? Because it starts as a seed. Just think about where we were in life a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Life is change, and the seeds in our heart continue to grow. The things that stretch us and push us and test us and challenge us today are different than what they were back then. The point is, am I growing, and am I cultivating my heart so that it will grow? Am I striving, am I gardening to let those seeds get all the light and all the water and all the nourishment they need? Am I working at being a better disciple, following Jesus, being more authentic in His Spirit today than I was yesterday? That's all about the seed. Because, of course, there are weeds. Call them temptations, call them sins, call them those thoughts that just flit through our head, just like that. Do we let those sins take root? Because trust me, folks, it's just like, it's like a smog. It's out there. You and I get tempted every day. That's part of life. Pigweed is part of a garden. Temptation is part of our hearts. It's out there. Are we pulling it out? Are we rooting it out? Are we actively going after it? Because I don't know about you, but you can weed in the morning, and if you come back the next day, there's going to be more weeds. That's part of life. and it's part of spiritual life. Are we vigilant in saying, Lord, I got to root that out. That doesn't belong. That isn't going to fit in heaven. Because the gospel reading today makes it really clear. If we don't root it out today, sooner or later we're going to stand before Jesus. And when we do, that stuff can't go to heaven. It doesn't belong. It won't be allowed in. It's got to go. And the invitation is, let it go today. Get rid of it today. Pull it out today. If that means confession, use confession. If that means going up to somebody and saying, I'm sorry, or I forgive you, or can we make this right? Can we solve this? I'd rather invite us to pull out the weeds today that need to go, because otherwise we're going to stand before Jesus and he's going to look at us and say, love to have you, but your garden needs to be tended. The invitation is do it today. Seeds grow over time. And that's a simple way to say we are works in progress. Sometimes, folks, we've got to cut ourselves a little slack and say, okay, Lord, my task today is to take one step. My dad's garden is a masterpiece. It really is. It's a work of art. It's a labor of love. But my dad's garden takes a whole season to come to fruition. It looks very different in September, October than it does when he plants in late May, early June. It takes time to grow. It takes time to develop. And a gardener is very patient. A gardener knows, okay, these seeds, I can only expect them to do a little bit each day. But if they do a little bit each day over time, they bear fruit. The Lord will take the same attitude with us. We're not supposed to just be transformed in a heartbeat. But the question is, today, am I doing what I can to nurture and cultivate and grow, to pull out and root out and tear out? Am I doing my part today to grow closer to the Lord and to his people? Am I tending to my heart today in that little way to cultivate love and joy and peace and all those beautiful virtues and all those beautiful graces, so that when I stand before Jesus, the garden of my heart is fruitful? There is going to come a day when we're going to stand there. The promise of a harvest is real, but it's not meant to scare us. It's meant to inspire us. God gives us the gift of our lives today. Folks, it has power, it has meaning, it has purpose. Today, I know that something you and I say or do or think or share can build up not just our heart, but the hearts of those around us. May we be good gardeners on the inside. And may we ask the Lord for the help and strength we need to tend this harvest and make it worthy of heaven. God bless you all.